next trigger. The risk on trade has not reversed, and there is plenty of liquidity both locally and globally, and more than absolute sellers, that is dip buyers, which are clearly dominating global markets. We may start with a cut, we may start with a nick, and but that is no measure, like I said, of what lies ahead. 10 points down for the Nifty, 17 points down for the Nifty spot, 43 points down for the Sensex. Sensex down 43, Nifty spot down 22, Sensex is now up 50 points, so things are volatile. Stocks you want to monitor, number one has to be Infosys Technologies. The stock appreciated by about 50 rupees plus on Tuesday, 9 rupees down now for Infosys Technologies. Sterlite Industries yesterday was one of the biggest gainers on the Sensex and on the Nifty. Sterlite will no longer be part of the Nifty from 28th of September. 1 rupee down for Sterlite Industries. I also want to check TCS, which is now marching towards a new all-time high. IT index per se yesterday was up by about more than 1%, and the CLSA, in fact, that will be visible for Tata Motors. According to CLSA, Tata Motors has a fair price target of 270 rupees. Currently, Tata Motors is at 244.
ONGC, L&T, Cipla and Tata Steel are the large caps which are going to be news driven this morning. ONGC because they're looking at spending about 15,000 crore rupees to drill 480 wells this fiscal, and that is what the newspaper reports are indicating this morning. L&T as well, they are looking at selling equity in infra projects to PE players. That is what the Newswire reports have been reporting. L&T starts off lower by about 0.7%. Cipla, they've partnered with Aspen for the Australian foray, and Cipla continues its up move, 1% higher for Cipla in today's session as well. And Tata Steel, they're looking to pay about $473 million to redeem the FCCBs. Tata Steel and the first rates haven't quite trickled in for that one. What about the currency then? Let's bring in Manisha to talk about which way the currency market has started trade. Manisha.
Well, thank you for that, Aisha. Third straight day of gains coming in for the Indian rupee, and we have made a fresh one-week highs on the opening trades itself. Well, the euro has been on the stronger side, the dollar weak, so that really gives you strong cues coming in from the global markets. In the Indian markets also, you saw the July annual inflation numbers come in slightly on the lower side, though of course the concerns about drought and the high fruit prices is something that would continue to put pressure. But it seems as the start of a new day, there wasn't so much of a dollar demand coming in from the Indian markets yesterday, and there have been custodian banks actually coming out with dollar sales in the Indian markets, and that in turn has been supportive. But it's the PSU bank strike happening today, so the volumes actually could be taking a hit in the spot markets as well as the futures. As well as the prices go, we have spoken to Axis Bank and they are expecting levels of 55.20, even 54.90 in the intraday market today.
All right, Manisha, thanks for that. Let's connect with Ajay to pick up all the dealing room buzz.
Well, Nikunj, Cairn India will be the first stock which will be in focus this morning, mainly because of the AGM which they are holding in Mumbai. There's a lot of hopes building up this time around, especially after the recent comments of the outgoing CEO of the company, Rahul Dheer, saying clearly that Cairn India is looking for opportunities, especially in the Venezuela and the South African region, for acquiring assets. So mainly coming out of the, clearly coming out the point that Cairn India would be the vehicle to acquire oil assets abroad. Also some commentary about the Rajasthan output and why the output is not going up. Are there any bottlenecks, or only the nod from the government is required? All of that is what management is eyeing. Stock meanwhile has been doing very good. 335, 340 is the kind of levels they are actually it is hovering at. And of course the management reshuffle, the top of the mind issue on analysts' mind right now. All of this will be eyed, so Cairn India will be in focus. Similarly, Wockhardt again will be in focus today. They are holding a investor and analyst meet today in Mumbai. So after a very long time, it will be a direct interaction of the management of Wockhardt and investors and analysts. So outcome will be very keenly watched out for. There are new drug launches on which they are actually expecting some commentary. Yesterday there was a Parkinson drug launch talked about in US. Also about the court case, and now of course progressing to the courts that they are wanting. The last installment is being discussed. So all of that is important. The stock is in a major bull run right now, and most of the delivery based buying is being seen. Each day it goes up very high. And last one of course will be the tire stocks. We have seen that brokerages are bullish on it. so several weeks now international rubber prices are going down, so it's not a one-off event. We already saw how first quarter numbers are very strong, but institutional dealers are betting mainly on larger stocks like Apollo Tyres, and their bet is sector leader even in this kind of up move in the tire stocks.
Okay, Ajay, we'll leave it at that. So watch out for all those stocks in trade. Ajay says keep an eye out on Ken, work hard, as well as Apollo Tyres. But what about the dealing room chatter this morning?
It's a buzz, Aisha, indeed it's a buzz which I've picked up on HSIL, and before I talk about the buzz, at the outset, disclosure that we've got no confirmation from HSIL. The buzz here is that HSIL is looking at selling their glass business. HSIL diversified into the glass business about 10-12 years ago. The diversification initially worked for HSIL, but now the glass business is dragging their balance sheet down, because glass as a business is a low margin business, high capex business, and very low when it comes to return on equity. HSIL also has lost some market share to its near organized and unorganized market players. So indeed, if HSIL decides to sell their glass business, unconfirmed though, in the near term the stock could get re-rated. The current market capitalization of HSIL is not even 1,000 crore. Now what I understand that the glass business itself could be valued in the range of about 850 to about 1,000 crore. That will automatically take care of the total debt. So the problem for HSIL is that the glass business is a drag, and that is just disturbing the return ratios. So in the next 6 months, if they're able to sell their glass business, I think an upside of at least 15 to 20% in the near term will be is entirely conceivable. Markets like the core business, they don't like the glass business. If they get rid of it, I think that's great news.
Okay, watch out for HSIL in trade today as well. Let's also chat about some other stocks which are going to be in focus. And Funny, just want to get your views on Ken. While the AGM is slated today, after Rahul Dhir's exit, which didn't really go down too well with the street, it's going to be of utmost importance, the management commentary and the kind of guidance they set out. Like Ajay just mentioned, the dealers are awaiting guidance on overseas asset purchases as well. What do you think is going to be the outcome, the broad parameters, that is?
Well, I guess I'm not expecting any fireworks from the AGM. However, with the onset of the new management, expect aggressive commentary on how they are going to look at overseas assets. As has been pointed out, they have already made a beginning by acquiring 60% interest in a South African oil and gas field. Having said that, I guess the street is more concerned on what will be the strategy of the new management, because in this kind of businesses, it's very important as to how in a commodity business like this, how the cash has been put to use. So, while the street was very comfortable with the previous management because of the kind of value addition that they did, obviously with the new management taking over Ken India, it will take some time for the market to analyze as to how they go about it. If they go around doing some meaningful acquisitions, I guess there is all the more reason for Ken India to be re-rated.
So Funny, where is deep value in this market? Do you think there is deep value in infra names which are trading in single-digit P multiples, or there is deep value in PSU banks which are now nearing the book values?
Well, between the two, I would go for PSU banks, primarily because they have a more diversified business mix, with infra being one of them. So their life doesn't depend entirely on what New Delhi does or does not. So I would go for PSU banks which are trading at below one-time book value. And the kind of mood on the street, I would tend to believe that they would get a little more inexpensive over the next 2 to 3 quarters, which will be a good time to accumulate them.
Mitesh, where is beta in this market? Because at 5400, if I look at momentum stocks, none of the momentum stocks are looking charged up.
I would agree. I think, we are not seeing the activity come from typical momentum players. A few weeks back, it was cement which was enjoying some kind of beta. I think IT, you might want to, classify it as beta given the fact that we don't have any other sector significantly outperforming like this. We've had a stock like HCL Tech do extremely well after numbers. Similarly, TCS is on the verge of breaking out. Mid-cap IT has got some kind of action coming in. But otherwise, the typical beta factor is definitely missing.
Okay, let's look at pre-open rates. Do we have any indication there? Well, pre-open rates are looking slightly stable. Nifty is moving in line with SGX. So we start at below 5400. I think that's a perfectly acceptable outcome. So Sandeep Agle for the day, what could be a turning point for the Nifty? Sandeep Agle is not there, but funny, what's on your watch list for the month and then for rest of the week?
You know, we continue to like private sector banks, and along with that, we continue to buy into large cap IT. Stocks like a Bajaj Auto or a Power Grid are also on our watch list. Among the mid cap space, print media as a sector is something that is very attractive at this point in time. And then there are a whole host of bottom-up ideas like, cash-rich PSUs like Bharat Electronics, or agri player like a VST Tillers. So these are bottom-up stock ideas which are attractive from a longer-term perspective.
All right, Fanny, appreciate your time and thank you for your insights. Let me now bring on board Jayakumar, represents Prime Securities. Jakes, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Jakes, the easy answer to why Indian markets have appreciated of late is liquidity. But my follow-up question is, what is driving liquidity for us at a time when the macro environment is challenging and the local environment is also extremely sticky?
I think here it's not really a case of whether macro is challenging or not. I think it's really the allocation of liquidity which is the key. You've noticed that over the last now 2 to 3 years, the participation of retail individuals has been virtually non-existent, and a whole bunch of hedge funds too have moved out of the market. So essentially the market's been very, very thin in volumes. Participation has been almost non-existent, and from that perspective, even small dollops of money tend to move markets reasonably significantly, and that's really what's happening. I think global interest rates and global liquidity allocation will clearly continue towards India, where even on a reduced basis, a 5.5% to 6.5% growth rate is something that the Indian markets will be able to, or the Indian economy will be able to show. And from that perspective, clearly money will continue to come in. It may not come in a substantially aggressive manner because markets are moving up. But here again, it's a very narrow bunch of stocks that have moved up. A whole host of MNCs, multinationals, FMCG, pharma, are at near-term highs, if not at life highs. And from that perspective, I think its participation even here is limited or lacking. And I think here what we're looking at is this rally to get more broad-based as the rest of the year goes by.
Okay, Jakes, just hold on to that thought. We'll come right back to you and talk about individual sectors as well as stock ideas. But let me just quickly recap the trading ideas coming in this morning. And here's what Ashwini Gujral is recommending this Wednesday. He's got a sell idea on Bata. He recommends buying TCS this morning. He's got a sell on McLeod Russell, a buy on Nestle, and DLF as well is a buy call for him. Or I beg your pardon, that was Mitesh Thakkar's trading ideas. Ashwini Gujral, he's got a buy on United Spirits, Apollo Tyres, M&M, Hindustan Zinc as well as a buy call for him. Reliance Capital as well as a buy, and CESC2 is a buy call. On to Sandeep Agle's ideas then. He's got a buy on TCS, Hindustan Zinc as well as a stock that he likes. Reliance Capital 2 is a buy. He's got a buy call on AstraZeneca Pharma and a solitary sell call on Canara Bank. Deepak Moni, he's got a single buy idea on JSW Steel and 2 short ideas, Bharti Airtel as well as Shobha Developers.
So globally and locally today we are not in for a very strong or a heavy news day. So Indian markets for the day, they could consolidate in a range, but today's consolidation is honestly no measure of what lies ahead. But we must understand that globally and locally there is a distinct shift in the way how traders and fund managers are now approaching not only Indian equities but global equities also. So globally things are holding on steady. All the liquidity enablers, which is the dollar index, strength in crude, basic indicators which tell us which way money is moving, they're telling us that risk on trade is here to stay. So the force with which Indian markets recovered on Monday in the second half of trade, it just tells you that dip buyers are clearly dominating this market now. Foreign institutional investors have been buyers, but more than institutional money, it is now the local crowd which is getting excited, and that's typical of a market when traders are confident. The broader participation also increases because stock futures have added about 6 or 7 crore shares in a matter of just 5 or 6 trading sessions. 21 points down for the Nifty spot. We've opened just a point below 5400, which is perfectly acceptable, which means we